strut my stuff and I'm so strung out. Well, I'm high as a kite, I just might stop to check you out. Let me go on like I blister in the sun. Let me go on. Big hands, I know you're the one. Body beats, I stain my sheets, I don't even know why. My girlfriend, she's at the end, she is starting to cry. Let me go on like I blister in the sun. Let me go on. Big hands, I know you're the one. Strut my stuff and I'm so strung out. I'm high as a kite, I just might stop to check you out. When I'm walking, I strut my stuff and I'm so strung out. I'm high as a kite, I just might stop to check you out. My body beats, I stain the sheets, I don't even know why. My girlfriend, she's at the end, she is starting to cry. Walking, I strut my stuff and I'm so strung out. Well, I'm high as a kite, I just might stop to check you out. Let me go on like I blister in the sun. Let me go on. Big hands, I know you're the one.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, we've got crazy shit going on. We've got folks here and we've got folks there. We've got shenanigans, oh plenty. What we also have is a couple of interesting fights to talk about this upcoming weekend. Something about someone blowing up a water heater and losing their QR code or something. The young kid was afraid to come avenge his L or something, and somebody was too busy fork knifing to scrape that L off their forehead. But we'll get into the pit talk later on in the episode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's episode. Tonight, as is the case like most nights, across the octagon from myself, my Wednesday night homeboy, my combat talk compatriot, the one and only Golf to You Vapes. How you doing, DJ?
Fucking fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. I am a tad bit bummed that nobody showed up to get their ass whipped. And look, I'm just saying, you motherfuckers, the pit is by far the funnest fucking thing we have ever done on this show. I enjoy talking MMA, kicky punchy, no matter what, but the pit brings this to a whole new level. Just saying. I guess I stay 2-0 another week because we can't very well fight each other in here without judge to actually make the call, you know?
I mean, I look at it this way. Hyperfly puts it on the inside of their gis and on the bottom of their belt. You can't teach heart.
That's it.
But
some of us have it, some of us don't.
we'll get to that in just a little bit. First and foremost, Mr. Fresh 03, we love you and we hope you're getting better. We cannot wait till you get back here. I think you will definitely shake up the ratings and the rankings here on the pit. But we will get more into that a little bit later. First and foremost, as we like to do around here, I would like to do just a little tiny bit of a recap about last weekend's shenanigans and chicanery. Oh my God, where do we even start? I will say this. There was more good. No, I can't say that. There was more interesting moments on the BKFC card than I thought there was going to be. I can't say there was more good moments. There was more interesting moments. I will say there were a couple of fights that I did not think were going to be shit and turned out to be not terrible. To be fair, the fights that I told you to keep your eyes on over there, that fucking Velasquez fight, holy shit, what, he gets 7 knockdowns in 43 fucking seconds and then try to convince the ref he was okay standing on one leg falling sideways? Like, that was fucking ridiculous. There was also the Nash fight on the fucking prelims, is when we learned something, I think, that kind of set the tone throughout the evening, regardless of the shitty fights. We learned something in that Nash fight, that opening fight, that there was a gentleman there that we referred to as Top Knot. Now, I am not a religious man. I'm not even really very much of a spiritual man, but I tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, I saw this man work miracles in front of my fucking eyes. I watched this man take a hamburger jigsaw puzzle in 43 seconds and turn it back into a recognizable man's face. It was unfucking believable. This gentleman, I do not understand how the UFC has not scooped up, but dear God, for the love of all fighters involved, get this man in the fucking corner. This man reminded me of a young Stitch Durant. This guy was in here making legitimate MMA miracles happen on faces that did not look like faces anymore. In a minute, while letting the coaches talk, this man genuinely performed miracles on faces. Swelling gone, hematomas disappeared, blown cuts completely fucking sealed for an entire round of fighting. It, for me, genuinely was the highlight of my night. This man took some of the soupiest soup cans that had been busted, labeled wide the fuck open, and put them back together, shelf presentation quality, ready to go right back out there and get fucking sold again. It was genuinely impressive from a hardcore combat sports fan's point of view.
Dude, I second that completely. Look, as much as there were some decent fights among the shit show that was BKFC last weekend, the most impressive thing was watching old Top Knot go to town, because that dude, man, if he doesn't make it over to the UFC is really fucked up. Although I have a hard time believing that BKFC is going to want to let that one go, because that's...
Well, I'm kind of hoping that the cut men are kind of like referees in that they're handled by the commission. And when they, as an organization, announce that they're going to do a show somewhere, the commission assigns them referees and judges and cut men. Because I don't know that they're attached to any organization. You still see Stitch Durant doing half the Bellator shows. He does a good amount of ONE FC shows when he travels abroad. He does a bunch of Showtime boxing fights still. Like, Stitch Durant is very much still a world famous cut man because he's the best. I don't know that they're tied to an organization, and I hope they're not anyway, because this dude in his fucking slick black outfit with his hair fully pulled up into a goddamn top knot, rocking a fucking gold Rolex in the fucking ring, was performing facial miracles on people who had just been beaten the fuck up, legitimately.
Dude, there's some ER doctors that could take fucking notes from him on how to fucking fix fucking splits from fights, man. Because he was
Yeah,
doing
talk
he was
about
doing
1 minute.
fucking. I'll say it, not being a religious person, he was doing God's work right there. Because that dude was just coming in there. You're healed, poof, right, and fucking move on.
Right? Catch a little. Oh,
Yeah, fucking amazing.
So, I will say this. I can't say flabbergasted, but I was surprised at the outcome of the main event. Um, Ironically enough, TJ can actually vouch for this, I believe. There were several people around, and as I said the words, Rachel Ostovich might only have a right hand, but goddamn if it's not working, she fucking cracked Paige Van Zandt and made her stanky leg backwards across the ring, and then really just started to pour it the fuck on. I was genuinely a little bit surprised. I did not know that Rachel had that much oomph in her. Not that that was a great fight by any stretch of the imagination, but for what it was, for who was in there, and what we had seen previously out of both of those ladies, Rachel really did legitimately fucking show that she could throw a punch. She might not be able to block many of them, and she might not have more than that fucking wide right overhand, but goddamn, if she didn't fucking land it every time, and you saw Paige fucking Pez dispenser every time she got touched with it. So I will give her that. I do have to say, I don't think anyone in the world who was watching that card, even the folks who meant to tune into that BKFC card, had any idea that when the fucking TikTokers were going to come out and start fighting on the bare knuckle fighting championship card, that they would be wearing boxing gloves, full puffy 20 ounces. All three of those fights were fucking atrocious. I genuinely hope that they never let that shit happen again. Keep that garbage on fucking Triller. I don't care if they want to do it bare knuckle or not. Don't do that again. That was fucking bad. If there was a highlight of that, it would be the first fight where one dude was like 20 something and had clearly never thrown a punch in his fucking life. And the other dude was like 35 and had trained fucking Muay Thai and Taekwondo and could not put this fucking slap punching dude away for anything. And by the end of it, we were rooting for the underdog because he started to get his rhythm and was really cracking on the dude who had known what the fuck he was actually doing. That was a little weird to get into, but you know, hey, fucking Blue Boy was rocking and Smurfman was finally getting his fucking licks in. We were happy to see it. But that fucking ridiculousness aside, we did actually have a genuine, I say that loosely, a genuine air quotes UFC card last weekend. Unlike the BKFC card, I was not really surprised with much of the outcome of that UFC card from last weekend. We kind of called pretty much exactly how that was going to go, almost down the whole fucking line. One of, I will say, the most impressive things for me, aside from just the fact that it happened so fucking smoothly, was that fucking Mickey Gall, man. Mickey Gall just cannot catch a break, really, because he did legitimately just make short work of Jordan Williams. I almost feel bad for Jordan Williams because he was fucking thrown to the sharks, and the shark was Mickey Gall. So that's like getting tossed into a piranha tank and then getting eaten alive by a fucking guppy missing half its lower jaw. But in this situation, that guppy latched on and landed a fucking smooth ass finish, and then proceeded to derp all over the fucking mic when they gave him the opportunity to actually try and capitalize on the momentum he had just built. So, you know, there was that. The nice thing about that is, as we were all still trying to what the fuck with what Mickey Gall had just said, Nasruddin Imavov came out and just made all of us so fucking happy. Ian Heinisch came out looking like absolute fucking dog shit from the get-go. And basically just got shut down. From the opening bell, he was getting outworked, he was getting outpaced, and then Imavov found that just right moment and just standing shut him the fuck out. I've been saying it for a hot minute now. I don't understand why Ian Heinisch had any kind of fucking hype coming into the UFC, because he has not shown anything to be of the caliber of a UFC fighter. Especially coming in a fight that he was the favored one in this fight, almost 2-1, and came in and just got fucking worked, kind of like we said he was gonna. Then there was the insanity that opened the main card. For me, one of the best moments of the goddamn night. Adrian Yanez versus Randy Costa. This is another one we knew going in was gonna be fucking fireworks. These dudes were set to go in and just bang it the fuck out, and I'll be damned if they didn't. Mad fucking props to Randy Costa for being a tough son of a bitch and a genuine good sportsman. He took his ass whooping with a smile and a grain of salt, and shook that fucking guy's hand as soon as he was able to stand up again. Randy Costa took that L about as fucking beautifully as you could ever ask a fighter to, and goddamn it, Giannis did not have some crisp fucking striking in that fight. The problem is that brought us to one of arguably the most blatant fucking rip cases by judges showing incompetency we have seen in a long fucking time. Miranda Maverick came out looking like fucking Rocky. She was on a goddamn mission. She had been fucking training with the hood up and the fucking crowd behind her. She was good to go, and she got in there and she just beat the shit out of Macy Barber for 3 fucking rounds. There were, I would say, less than 15 seconds total in the 3 rounds of that fight where Macy wasn't either being pressured or in trouble of some sort. Those are generally the first 5 seconds of all 3 rounds. Because as soon as Miranda got moving, god damn, did she put a fucking pace on? Did she strike like a fucking champion? She was in and out. She had great movement. She was cutting Macy off because Macy was, go figure, trying to ride the fucking bike as usual. When it was on the ground, it was very much Miranda's fucking show. Macy was giving it her all. I'll give her that. But in no fucking Marvel universe did Macy Barber win that fight. And it was confirmed afterwards by literally every single journalist covering the event unanimously. I believe there was 38 different journalists total covering this event, and every single one of them agreed. From a cage side point of view, people who watched this fucking fight from there, Macy Barber didn't win that fucking fight. And yet somehow, in the eyes of 2 judges, she manages to point out and get the split decision and just send the entire MMA community going, what the fuck? That was fucking horrible.
I think that goes on to one of those reels where it says, on today's episode of How Fucked Up, that's fucked up.
Right?
You look at the numbers. You don't even have to have watched the fight. You can look at the numbers and you go, if we didn't tell you who got the W, you'd immediately think Maverick. She doubled the strikes landed. And then some.
Yeah, she 2-1 on almost everything, I think.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. I don't know what the judges were watching, but they obviously weren't watching the fight. They were probably doing something a little bit like this of swipe left, oops, swipe right, fucking checking their fucking grinder accounts because, I'm guessing that's what they were doing.
Sure, fuck seems like it.
Just saying, it's a fucking weird situation. I mean, to see
I feel
the
bad
way,
for Miranda more than anything, really.
yeah,
Like, as angry as it made me feel genuinely bad for Miranda because she took it like a champ, and she said herself, "I shouldn't have let the judges have the decision in that. It's my own fault for letting it go there." Which,
and you know what?
But
That I can respect coming out of her, but at the same time, she's got to know she got fucking robbed. Like, you literally got held at gunpoint, then a knife stuck in your abdomen while somebody had a gun to your head. Then they still took your fucking wallet. Yeah, it was ridiculous, but that's kind of to be expected with those fucking Nevada judges. I'm telling you, man.
right?
Those, like, I thought New York was bad, but Nevada's fucking getting there.
And that's the thing, is that it used to be, don't fight in New York if there's any chance you're going to go to a decision with the gal you're fighting, because New York used to be that place where you could almost set your clock by how bad the judging was. And it's getting to the point now where New York really ain't that fucking bad anymore, and Las Vegas is almost laughably bad. Like, you can almost bank on every single card that happens in Vegas, at least one fight that goes to the judges is going to be ridiculously wrong. Sucks. But the good part about that head scratching is it gave us time to get ready for Darren Elkins versus Derek Minner. Holy shit, was that a fucking insane fight. I tell you what, it might have been 2 rounds, but I'm calling it right now. Round 1 might legitimately be the most crazy round we have seen in 2021. That was the definition of, I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Derek Minner was a fucking spider monkey in that cave, 100%. I don't understand how he was able to roll in transition so fucking quick and so smooth. He legitimately kind of looked like he knew where Elkins was going. He was just so fucking crazy. It was like watching a ferret wrap around a wiffle ball there. It was fucking craziness. And to his fucking credit, the damage survived every bit of it and then turned it the fuck on. They don't call him the damage for nothing. And I was telling people about it as this fight was coming in. They don't call him the damage for nothing, because win or lose, when you fight Darren Elkins, you know it when it's over. Whether you're the victor or the loser, when that fight's done, you fucking know you were in a fight because you got fucking hurt either way. And sure the fuck enough, Elkins, with a giant fucking cut that most people probably would have fucking gave no fucks and turned it up and just put on a fucking clinic of what badass looks like. To the extent that when DC came in to do the interview, he gagged a little bit, turned away from him. And then the first thing he said was, Darren Elkins, your eye is grossing me out. Please turn away a little bit. The damage is a bad motherfucker.
Fucking strange happenings, man. That dude. He's an oddity in MMA, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And
like,
I love it.
There's not many fighters like him that are like, you can go back and on one hand name every fighter that has that kind of mentality where they don't fight well until they fucking are beat up a little bit, or you're guaranteed to know that they're going to do some sort of damage to you whether you win, lose, or draw them. There's very few fighters that you can name that were that type of fighter or are that fighter. And to be quite honest, I think I could name all of them on one fucking hand.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
It's
Darren Elkins embodied the fuck out of that, man.
Yeah. It's fucking amazing.
So the interesting thing about that is it brought us to one of the other more controversial in a line of controversial decisions that we got Saturday night. Kyler Phillips versus Julian Pine. Kyler Phillips came out in round one looking like a fucking stud. Just couldn't miss. Couldn't fucking not clip him. Couldn't fucking not be in the right position. Was just doing everything right in round one. Round two got a little fucking closer back and forth. Round three, Paiva definitely turned it on and started to take control. You could tell Phillips was gassing out. But to give the entire fight to Paiva was another one that when the event was over, they pulled all the journalists who were there reporting live to see what everybody else who was right there thought. And again, every single one of the people who were there who've been reporting on this as a profession for years now were in unanimous agreement. That was Kyler Phillips' fight. Yes, Paiva had some great fucking moments and definitely shined through in round three, for sure. But that was not in any way stretch of the imagination a winning fight for Paiva. Hats off to him for getting that fucking nod from those fucking wonky Nevada judges. But Kyler Phillips shined through. He definitely gassed, and he absolutely has to work on his gas tank a little bit. But he won that fucking fight. Kyler Phillips won that fight. And as weird as that was to see as the co-main event after we lost that last week, the main event might have been even stranger. The one thing I will say, much like when we saw Misha Tate 2 weeks ago, stepping back in after a couple of years out of the UFC octagon, TJ Dillashaw stepped back in last Saturday night and very much looked like he had not taken a single day off, like he was exactly where he was when he left, minus the EPO performance in his bantamweight performances. The problem is that Corey Sandhagen basically outworked him for 5 rounds and legitimately had him hurt and in trouble 3 or 4 different times throughout those 5 rounds. But once again, we were in Las Vegas Saturday night. And when you're in Las Vegas and you go all around, you are then at the mercy of some of the most, as previously mentioned, incompetent fucking MMA judges we know of. And this was, once again, just like the co-main event, another one of those cases where you can kind of see how someone may have uninformedly come to the conclusion that TJ won if you literally just look at highlights and don't pay attention to the entirety of the fight or how it actually went. But again, unanimously, all of the MMA journalists who were on site and pretty much everyone that I have seen anywhere who actually watched that fight is in unanimous agreement that TJ Dillashaw did not win that fight. And unfortunately, once again, much like in the Miranda Mavericks situation, Corey Sandhagen, being the fucking phenomenal sportsman that he is, immediately came out and said, this was my fault for leaving this in the hands of the judges. I can understand how a judge may have seen that as TJ having the benefit of the doubt in that fight, but I don't believe I lost that fight. I certainly don't believe that he won that fight. I am in complete fucking agreement with Corey Sandhagen here. Hats off again for being a fucking true sportsman and just stepping right up in the fucking moment there and handling that shit and moving along. But god damn it, as a fucking fan, this pisses me the fuck off. We had how many on one fucking card where judges clearly ruined someone's fucking night by being incompetent at the one literal job that they had in that fucking night.
You know, let me start with this. Credit where credit is due. I am not a fan of TJ Dillashaw's. I never have been. So the EPO thing, fucking juicing, eating horse meat or whatever the fuck he was doing, fucking made everything that I had thought about him right. But credit where credit is due. He did not lose a step at all. He was right back where he was, which good on him. Although I will say he did look like dog shit, and you could tell he's not juicing anymore. Because
You can tell he cycled off for sure.
yeah, he's way off. Because I mean, when he was juicing, that dude looked like somebody chiseled that motherfucker out of stone. Now it looks like they kind of got some dry mashed potatoes and hit it with a fucking torch to crisp up the edges a little bit.
Right.
So, I mean, but credit where credit's due. He's still got the heart to fight. He's still got the skill. But at what point, when somebody makes a giant vagina on your face that's in the middle of its bloodiest period ever, do you win that fight? But again, this is Vegas. When you go and you gamble, the house always wins.
Eventually.
When you're in Vegas and you let it go to the judges, you're literally gambling your fucking career. Because this can make, break, get you cut, get you a title shot. The house always wins. And right now, the only winners in any of these are not actually the people who got the W's. It's the fucking judges, because there is no fucking consequence for them for making bad calls. And to be quite honest, I'm highly in favor of something in place to where those guys have to fucking be held accountable when they fuck shit up.
Yep.
But, you know.
I agree. Well, and there's actually a little piece in the news segment that we'll get to here in a little bit that actually addresses that from a very respected voice in the community that made me very happy to hear as well, too. So we are clearly not the only ones who are not liking how this shit goes down. And people are starting to speak up. We'll get to that in just a little bit, though.
Good on
them. Interesting, but pleasing, I will say. They actually got back to the old tradition. It was a fight night, so we got a fight of the night bonus and 2 performance of the night bonuses, just like it was originally fucking intended to be. Fight of the night was, ironically, Kyler Phillips versus Julian Paiva, because it was a pretty goddamn good fight. Performance of the night bonuses went to Yanez for that fucking amazing stoppage of fucking Costa, and Darren fucking Elkins, because after that fucking war, how can you not give that motherfucker an extra check? He's just that fucking badass. So, ironically, because we were in Vegas, Nevada State Athletic Commission still has fucking jurisdiction over the medical suspensions. Interestingly enough, we only had 2 big ones. Pretty much everybody went through and just got, I think it was a 4-week or a 5-week suspension for the minimal damage that they all relatively took. And then Adrian Yanez broke one of the bones in his nose, so he has to be cleared by an ENT, or he's out until January, which is standard procedure. And then TJ, not only for the vagina that got opened on his fucking face, but he also got his knee fucked up and will now most likely have to have surgery. And he is out regardless until January of 2022. So any plans that he may have had to, finish strong in 2021 are right out the goddamn window, because he took enough fucking damage in that fight that he's on the shelf the rest of the year any fucking ways. But
plus side, taking all that damage during the fight, the UFC is going to pay for it.
Exactly. Then you get your health compensation afterwards.
You get your little workman's comp. Because, wait a minute, it's not workman's comp, because that's not a career. Fuck you, Dana White. Fuck you. Even though I hate TJ, it's a fucking career for him, even though he's made some poor decisions with his career.
So that'll bring us into the actual news and recent events portion here. I'm going to start it right off by the one that we kind of led into here. Obviously, we are not the only people who are sick and fucking tired of incompetent judges literally stealing money from fighters by their own incompetency, giving wrong decisions like that. And in a very long, lengthy, and intelligent fucking interview this week that made me so goddamn happy to see, The one and only world famous Dean Thomas himself sat down and said that he sees the easiest way to get rid of all the controversy from all of these judges ruining fighters' careers with their fuck-ups. And that is to do away with something that Dana White himself has put in place and no one can really figure out why. The win and show bonus. If both people come out and both people give the same amount of effort, why does one of them literally only get half of the paycheck that the other does for the same amount of work, regardless of the outcome? Win and show bonuses are absolute bullshit, and I 100% agree, because they're completely out of control of the fighters who are showing up. If they both show up, they should both get show money. If you're going to give a win bonus, then everyone should get a win bonus and everyone should get the same base pay. But they don't want to do that. So how can you justify different bonuses and different situations and different criterias that the fighters can't fucking control due to the incompetency of judges? Get rid of the fucking win and show bonus money. Dean fucking Thomas, baby.
I was hoping he was going to say something along the lines of put MMA fighters cage side as judges, because they're going to be able to actually judge a fight.
Right. Well, and that's another one that falls back to the commission, though. Because technically, if it's sanctioned by the commission, it has to have commission judges. So, but this is something that the UFC actually does have control over, regardless of the judging. They can control this win show bonus money bullshit.
Allegedly.
Yeah, air quotes. Yeah, strong air quotes there. Then we did have a pair of kind of sad leggy news, for lack of a better characterization. The first one, we got a report from Chris Weidman this week that his leg is not healing and he's getting ready to undergo a second surgery. So it's legitimately worse than we thought it was, and we knew it was real fucking bad. If ever there was a sign that Chris Weidman is most likely not going to make it back to the MMA world, this was likely it. It was a stretch to begin with as severe as that injury was, but now to see that not only was the injury that severe, but it's not healing, that just almost puts an indefinite timestamp on when he'll ever be able to make a return, as sad as that is. At this point, as a fan, I legitimately hope more that he is able to heal than he is able to make it back to the octagon. I would rather see him be able to live the rest of his fucking life like a normal human being than to ever get back in that fucking cage and compete again. He's already had his glory days. He held the fucking belt. He reached the fucking pinnacle. There is absolutely no shame in stepping out now. But if he literally ruins his body trying just to get back, that price is too much. It's not worth it, in my opinion. As a fan, we don't want to see that. And his family clearly doesn't want to see that.
To be quite honest, I really hope that this is that turning point where he goes, you know what? Obviously, the body has had enough. I've done great things. And to be quite honest, every time they've used him as an analyst on a show, he's done fantastic.
Great. He's fucking great, man.
He's like, as a personable human being, he's fantastic for that. Bring him in for those types of things. Get him a desk job. Find something for him to do at the UFC PI, you know? There's a multitude of different things where he can continue his career in MMA just without fighting or the possibility of re-injuring that. I mean, it's granted, don't you know, fighters want to fight. That's how that works. And I wish him all the best in a speedy recovery, but I don't think we see him fight ever again.
No, sadly, I hope, and it's weird to say that I hope, but I genuinely hope that this is the last time we see Weidman in a UFC capacity when he got hurt, and I hope that they let him bow out with grace. I really do. In horrible fucking leg news, though, right after we got that story, we then got word that UFC 266 has officially lost a fight because Tatiana Suarez, in recovering from her neck injury and training for the fight with Roxanne Modafferi for 266, has blown her knee out and now has to have surgery and will be on the sidelines for a minimal of another year, coming off of almost a year and a half of being on the sidelines from her neck injury. So again, this isn't how you want to see it go, but this very well may be Tatiana Suarez's cue from the universe that, sweetheart, you ain't supposed to UFC. Like, not that she was bad by any stretch of the imagination, but if you've got a year and a half off for a neck injury, and as soon as she was literally just medically cleared last Wednesday, a week ago yesterday, she was medically cleared by doctors. And then this week, she completely blew her knee out in training and now has to undergo surgery and is going to be on the sidelines for at least another year, best case scenario. It might be time to look into an accounting degree.
Yeah. There's some fucking, that injury bug is going around to some names that are pretty well known lately, and it's not a pretty thing to see.
No, it's fucked. In less destructive news, I guess we will say, we saw the GOAT himself, one Artem Lobov, step in and take a very, very hard fought L this last weekend, but it wasn't to the soup can that most people anticipate. He legitimately this time actually lost in a Russian bare knuckle matchup against Russian Olympic boxer. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name. Dennis, you can look it up. It was a great fucking fight. 4 rounds. Artem came out, had a hell of a first round. The second round, you could tell he was a little less experienced in the boxing field than a fucking Olympic boxer. Round 3, he really started to get bad. 4, he got absolutely worked. He swung and missed and whiffed the air a couple times. He got pieced up and danced on by this Russian boxer a couple times. And then as they were getting ready to come out from round 4 to 5, his team threw the towel in and called it. They wouldn't let him get up off the stool. He was bad. He was getting worked, and 5 would not have done him any fucking favors. His team legitimately saved him here. Props to Artem. He took this fight on short notice because his MMA match in France that he was supposed to have 2 weeks ago got canceled a month ago. So in a full camp for an MMA fight, he stopped and switched up to go to a bare knuckle fight with a fucking Olympic boxer on short notice so he could stay active. Props to the fucking GOAT. We'll see where he goes from there. He said in the post-fight interview, this was most likely the last time he's going to compete in combat sports. He's got plenty of other things going on, and obviously this didn't go in his favor, and you don't want to keep fighting if you're not winning anymore, so the GOAT may officially be retiring. We'll see how his healing goes. Either way, Artem Lobov's the fucking greatest. If you don't like the Russian Hammer, you don't like MMA.
Good on him, man. I like where his head was at. Let's stay active. But
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. More than a lot of other fucking quote-unquote pros have been doing.
Granted, I think it might have been a silly move going from an MMA fight training camp to let me take a bare knuckle on, because that's 2 totally different things. But, you know.
Yeah.
Then again, it is what it is. I mean, a lot of those guys, they just have the will to fight in them. That's all there is to it.
They're going to do what they're going to do, man.
Yep. The heart leads you in a direction. Sometimes you got to follow it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, hats off to the fucking GOAT for sure. But hey, what are you going to do? One other interesting piece that we got here, not necessarily direct fight related, but kind of fight related. We got an interview this week after some shenaniganry came loose on Twitter this last weekend. Stipe is obviously not fucking happy that he is not getting any rematch offers here. This is kind of how it went when he was fighting in the situation with DC. He gave Ngannou his title shot, rematch rather, as soon as he had worked his way back up from where the UFC put him. But in this situation, the UFC just isn't giving Stipe any options here. They said that if Stipe doesn't want to take another fight in the meanwhile, then he can have the winner of whoever wins between Gane and Lewis, and then whoever fights and then wins between that winner and Francis. So they're giving him basically a 3 fights down the line you can fight for the title that you held for the longest time in UFC heavyweight history. And I can't blame him for being mad there. But the interesting thing is that it actually brought about a situation where Stipe teased he might be interested in trying to get out of his contract with the UFC if they're just going to keep him on the shelf, and heading over to ONE FC to taking on one Brandon Vera, the heavyweight champion of ONE FC, The decision, which was immediately co-signed by Brandon Vera, who said, "Get your ass over here, Chatri. Please make this happen." And Chatri Satyong, the owner and manager, or commander, as it were, of ONE FC, who immediately signed up with thinking emojis. I gotta say, I agree. I think Stipe has every right to be pissed off at the way he's getting treated. And if he's gonna go somewhere else, that's the place that I think he should go. He should not fucking go to Bellator. He should not go to BKFC. If Stipe Miocic is going to keep doing martial arts and he's not going to be in UFC anymore, I 100% think ONE FC is the best place he can fucking go.
Yeah, to be quite honest, in my own opinion, he's getting fucked big time. Dana White just does not like Stipe. I'll say it outright. I don't think he likes Stipe one bit whatsoever. And that's why there's no immediate offer for a rematch, even though he's earned it. So, I mean, at this point, to be quite honest, I hope he gets out of his contract. I hope he ends up at ONE. Because when I saw that going through my newsfeed, I was like, huh, that's an interesting proposition there.
Yeah.
I was like, to be quite honest right now, in my opinion, as far as heavyweights are concerned, he gets GOAT status still, even losing to Francis.
Fucking A right. I agree 100%. 100%.
He's the one that showed you can win multiple fights in a row as a title holder in the heavyweight, not just one or two.
Yep.
Because there was a lot of those guys. Like, you look, he was the first person to do multiple fucking fights as champ and still hold it down. And still hold down a regular fucking everyday job.
I was going to say, aside from being a badass, he was a regular everyday badass as well. But he erased the concept from people's mind that Cain was the epitome of heavyweights. Because for a lot of people, for a long time, Cain Velasquez was the peak of the mountain. That was what you were supposed to be. But even Cain couldn't defend it more than fucking twice. Cain was a great fighter. He really was a great heavyweight. He was the definition of too tough for your own fucking good. But even Cain couldn't hold a fucking candle to what Stipe's done now. Stipe is the heavyweight division in my and a lot of people's opinions for good fucking reason. He earned it. He stamped that shit in blood.
Fuck yeah.
But we'll see how that one turns out. Next thing I want to talk about real quick here. We have lost so many fights from this weekend's card already. This weekend and last weekend's cards both have just been fucking ravaged lately. We lost Smiling Sam Alvey because his opponent could not get a visa. We lost the original co-main event, Mounir Laziz versus Dustin Stoltz, because Mounir Laziz last minute could not get a fucking visa as well. Luckily, they did keep Stoltz on the card. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. There also was the original co-main event. We lost the original co-main event as well. We've got an interesting co-main event coming up now, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But just absolutely getting ripped limb from fucking limb on this card. Lots of fucking injuries. Another kind of strange but interesting, I guess, little note here. We did get announcement Tuesday that Invicta FC, the All Ladies Fighting Championship, which is generally considered to be the feeder organization for the women's side of the UFC, has announced this week that going forward, they are officially pay-per-view only. They will be $29.99 per card, and there is no subscription service available. You literally will have to buy every card. This coming from an organization who has put on all of their fights for free if they've been able to broadcast them for over a decade now. Pretty much unanimously being looked at by the entirety of the MMA world as a very bad and stupid idea.
Yeah, that's gonna honestly tank that promotion. I think
it's gonna hurt them so fucking much. It really is, and it's sad because a lot of the ladies that most people know from the UFC, from Bellator, in MMA in general, have come through Invicta as champions or just as badass fucking competitors through that organization. So,
yeah,
for them to kind of turn their nose up now, it's a little weird, man. It really is.
It's definitely an odd pick for Invicta to do that. Look, I get it. If you say we're going to have one monthly one, and then we're going to do one or two other fight cards throughout the month,
Yeah,
that's
the
cool. I get it. One free fight card to one big fight card. Yeah, that's cool. Or a pay-per-view every other month or something like that. That's fine. Follow the same banner that's in place for a lot of these MMA promotions, where they do more than just pay-per-view cards. Just saying, it's Invicta.
It's a bad move.
You were a great start point for a lot of women fighters. A fucking just absolute fuck ton.
Yeah.
But you're literally going to take away a good route for these women to come through to make it to bigger promotions. They're going to have to rely on shittier promotions in order to get that screen time.
I was going to say that's going to tone down the whole quality of the pool as well. So,
oh yeah, you're fucking the rest of the pool up. I mean, you're taking yourself out of the gene pool, which is terrible. To be quite honest, that's a very integral part of women's MMA. They really have been for the latter part of the last fucking decade. And I mean, to know what's going to happen there, that's all right. Let me put it for those of you who are not understanding what I'm saying here. If I have a plant in a pot out in the fucking sun, in the dirt, if I just let it sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there, that motherfucker's going to die. You have to water it. But what they're doing is they're giving it 2 or 3 drops, thinking, oh, this is going to be enough to make it grow. No, you have to feed it. And what you're doing is you're literally removing a key integral part of growth by saying we're only going to do pay-per-views moving forward. Look, I like where your head's at, but one, you don't have the star power in Invicta right now or ever to make this an all pay-per-view all the time.
Right.
You've had some really big stars come through there, but they weren't stars at the time. So going all pay-per-view, even if it is as little as $30, which is doable for a lot of people, but if we're getting a monthly UFC pay-per-view, a monthly Bellator pay-per-view, and then your shit at $29.99, why am I going to spend an extra $30 when I'm already spending big money to watch the UFC and Bellator? And Bellator is hit and miss for me sometimes whether I'm actually going to pay for it and watch it. Because why? They don't always have the greatest cards when it comes to pay-per-views, although UFC is slowly starting to get that way too, which I'm not a fan of, but still. Invicta, you don't have any pull in the MMA world.
Not enough to pull this fucking card anyhow.
Look, there is a bunch of hardcore fans that know about Invicta, know what's going on there. And I say a bunch, we're in this small little community. The rest of people who enjoy MMA only watch UFC. Why? Because that is the biggest name out of there. It's kind of like NFL. Nobody watches the CFL. Nobody watches Canadian Football League, except for people in fucking Canada. And even they don't watch that shit.
Saying even they don't watch it all either.
Same concept. Your fucking high school football at best in a shitty state where football doesn't mean anything, like Rhode Island. I'm just saying. You pick and choose your battles. They think you picked the wrong one, and you're about to get KO'd right out of fucking existence. Fucking terrible thing. God, it's fucking horrible. I feel so bad for the women's MMA. Not to mention, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm a little bit overly sensitive to this. But the fucking women's fighting pool that has been picking up lately has been absolute fucking trash.
Right.
You're taking away an opportunity for us to see good fighters make their way into better promotions, Bellator, UFC, One. Instead, no, you're just like, fuck them. You're literally saying, fuck these bitches. We're not doing anything. We're doing this for ourselves.
I agree.
Yeah,
And the best part is that actually ties right into the next little part here. We actually got two more little pieces of news that tied directly into that exact point. The first one we just got literally announced this morning. Amanda Nunes has officially tested positive for the Backstreet Boys and is officially out of next weekend's co-main event. They are not trying to find anyone else to fight Juliana Pena. They literally just scrapped that part or that fight, as they absolutely should have. The interesting part about that is, I shit you not, 10 minutes after that announcement, we got the announcement that now on October 16th, we will see Norma Dumont step back into the octagon against one Holly Holm at 145 pounds. We generally know how that recipe goes when you start putting that in the equation. And now that it's happening at 145, and we know that there's literally 7 girls at 145, 8 now that Holly's back, the writing is on the fucking wall. They're going to try and push Holly to take over when Amanda leaves. They're trying to set Holly up for that 145 spot, since she clearly can't take it at 35. And now with Amanda being sick, they've got potential rights to make her an interim title shot coming up, knowing that she could potentially win this Dumont fight. It could get very interesting on the lady side of the UFC really quick. And one of the reasons that it happens that way is because the feeder organizations aren't providing any 145 pounders right now. And with dumb moves like LFA going all pay-per-view, that's going to make that pool even more shallow. Yeah. The trickle-down effect really does fuck you all the way
along. Good on Dumont. Got a chance to knock Holly Holm's ass out and get a fucking...
That's what I said. I was like, if I was Norma Dumont, I'd have taken that fucking fight too.
Hell yeah. Because you beat Holly Holm, you get a title shot. Because Holly Holm wins, she gets the title shot.
Bet your ass. That's how that works. And that'll put Norma Dumont back on the goddamn map, because right now she's still under that cloud of missing weight by a fuck ton. So she could definitely use some good PR.
Yeah. And, to be quite honest, I think she'll do a lot better, just because now she won't have the problems making weight, I think.
Yes, she's supposed to have a new nutritionist. Everything's supposed to be back on track now. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes loose. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes loose. We got a couple more interesting fight announcements coming out here this week. Joaquin Buckley stepping back in against Antonio Arroyo. It has been officially rebooked again. I think this is the third time for this fight. September 18th, they're going to run it. Finally, hopefully, if neither one of them get hurt or Backstreet Boys again this time. Then we got the announcement that the PFL has officially got their playoff regiment set. They will be kicking off in a little over 2 weeks, August 13th, and the headline fight for the first playoff event will be Rory McDonald versus Ray Cooper III. So they're going to open their playoffs with Rory getting his ass kicked again, I believe. I mean, hey, that's your prerogative. If that's how you want to do it, that's cool. I get that they're really trying to milk as much money as they can out of Rory, but he's not really showing what they thought he was going to show, in my opinion. He's showing to me that he probably should have just hung him up instead of switching organizations, because he ain't winning that fucking $1 million. But then we got a pair of rematch announcements that I did not think we were going to see either of, let alone on the same day. The first one that we got was that as of October 1st, Bellator will be returning to London for another Bellator London event, because the previous one was fucking spectacular. This one will be headlined by none other than Douglas Lima versus MVP 2. They're really going to fucking give him another shot at that belt. And honestly, I hope Lima stanky legs that fucking clown in front of his home turf. I want to see him get embarrassed in front of his home fans because it's been said a million times and it will be said a million more times. MVP only looks good when you throw a fucking can in front of him. Every time he has ever faced legitimate competition, he has got fucked up. I kind of hope it happens again.
You know,
But
I'm wondering with that fight, being as they're giving him the rematch on it, I'm wondering if they're gonna go, Lima, this is your tune-up fight to fix your shit after your last showing. Because he looked
you're
like
getting it at home.
dog piss.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully he doesn't look like dog piss again, because then that's just gonna give them all the more reason to push that motherfucker.
Right.
But we'll see moving forward.
So the other rematch announcement that we got was that on October 30th, back over in Abu Dhabi, we will be seeing the run back of Aljamain Sterling versus Peter Yan. That one I was very happy to hear about, because this whole bullshit 135-pound controversy has gone on too fucking long. I'm ready to get it all done with. Let them run it back, even if they got to run it back in Abu Dhabi. I don't care. We all know Yan is going to fucking steamroll this clown, and then we can move the division along after that's done.
Fuck yeah, kick him to the bottom of the pile.
Right. So before we get into the UFC talk, as it were, I do want to mention that we are actually having a competition Saturday, as it were, the first one we've seen in a long time. Bellator 263 will be going head to head with the UFC this weekend. They are on at the same fucking time, so you literally got to get your split screens ready if you're ready to do them both. The good news for the fans is that the only really big name-worthy fight that most people will recognize will be the featherweight Grand Prix division finals, the $1 million and championship title fight between Pitbull and AJ McKee as the headline. That being said, though, this would normally be the point where we would tell the crowd how they can't hear how funny the GIF is, because this is where we get into the pit. But unfortunately, we had a couple of no-shows, and then wait, what's that? It's almost like must be a lot of people in that car trying to get out. Oh, it looks like it could be. We've got ourselves a casual clown. Ladies and gentlemen, the pit will happen after all.
Did somebody say something about heart? Because we got hearts galore today. We're just making it rain hearts.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first entry into the pit by yours truly, the casual clown.
Hello, everyone.
So, as the folks at home will know by now, in the pit, we have two competitors facing off. Each competitor will get 1 minute to give us their answer. The winningest answer of that round will be determined a point. The winningest points at the end of the rounds will be determined victor. Since we've got ourselves a casual clown here, I will let our casual clown go first in his question. So the first question, Mr. Casual Clown, what is the least scariest clown in the world. Why?
Ooh.
Your time starts now, sir.
I would say Ronald, but he kills millions. So, I mean, Krusty the Clown. He's not that scary. He's happy. You know, he's got problems like all of us, you know. But Krusty's a good guy. He helps people out every now and then. And plus he goes, hey, hey, hey. And I don't really want to punch him, you know, so he's all right.
There you go.
That's all I got.
There you go. Okay, so Mr. Returning Champion, Golf Tee. Same question. You have 1 minute, sir. Least scariest clown. Why?
All right, since we're going to do this, I feel like I fucking need a unicycle for this shit. You know, we'll make it really easy. We're going to go old school. Bozo.
Ooh.
Brings joy to millions of kids when he was still on TV. We'll go that route with it. Wasn't going to hurt a fly. He was just going to help people out and make kids happy. Not to mention, who didn't want to do the bucket toss?
I agree. I agree. Good answer, sir. Good answer. I have to say, in a very close round, both very respectable answers. I think, though, I have to give round 1 point to Golf Tee. I agree. Krusty is very much a non-intimidating clown, but I was actually on the Bozo show once when I was a little Boy Scout back in the Disney and was nice enough to trade places with the kid in front of me who got on the fucking grand prize game and whiffed it on the first goddamn bucket. I hold that grudge to this day. Fuck that kid. So in bringing up that traumatic memory, I'm going to give round 1 to TJ, unfortunately.
That's okay. That's
So,
okay.
It's all right. There's plenty of time. Stranger things have happened. We'll get through it. So, for our second question here in the pit, Mr. Golf Tee, we'll let you go first this time. Your question, in your opinion, what would be the best punch to one-shot a clown with? Your time starts now. And you're muted.
Oh, I'm fucking muted. All right, there we go. Well, to one-shot one, I'm going to use a little play on words here. You're going to give him a little doink here. I'm going to say it's going to be the overhand doink. Doesn't matter whether it's coming from the left or the right. Either way, you're going to hit that clown.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, Mr. Casual Clown, same question to you. Best punch to one-shot a clown with?
So I do this one like on a weekly basis, okay? I give him, it's called the honker. That's where you hit him right in that big red nose and it goes, ah! It's wonderful. Just like straight, done.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. So, both very valid points here, both convincing arguments, both effective strategies, obviously. I will have to say, after some deliberation here, though, we are going to give the point for round 2 to our guest, the Casual Clown. That honker just reminds me so much of Uncle Buck and that fucking that nose flattening fucking scene. It immediately brought the memory to my head. I had to. So we'll give round 2 to the clown for us.
Nice.
So round 3. We will allow the champion to go first again here this time. We do have some MMA coming up this weekend. So I will ask, who has the better main event this weekend? UFC or Bellator?
That's actually a bit of a tough one, in my personal opinion, because look, Bellator Grand Prix going on. You got AJ McKee and Pitbull, and McKee running undefeated right now over there. Pitbull, of course, reigning champ. If he does win, we have to start thinking about where does he fit in the line of 145s in the grand scheme of things. So if he does win, but I still think McKee's going to win that fight and take away the belt there. On the other hand, you have one of my favorite lately fighters, Sean Strickland, in the main event with Uriah Hall. Sean Strickland is a talking motherfucker. Uriah Hall, that's a tough cookie to crack. Be Uriah Hall aging a little bit, I think Strickland takes this one and he's going to talk his way through it and ask him why his head's so fucking hard and why he's not going to be able to knock him out because he does shit like that. But if we're going to say most exciting fight or the better of them, I'm going to have to give it to Bellator on this one purely because it is for the Grand Prix and there's a chance of seeing an undefeated 145-pound king there.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Mr. Casual Clown, same question to you. Best main event of the weekend, rather. UFC or Bellator?
Can you tell me who's fighting and which one again?
So Bellator has AJ McKee versus Pitbull for the 145 belt, and the UFC has Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland fighting for a number, basically.
By all my grand knowledge of all UFC and Bellator, and it's magnificent. But I'm gonna go with, you said Strickland's fighting who?
Uriah Hall.
I'm gonna say Strickland or Strickland and Uriah Hall. So UFC, right? Just because Strickland reminds me of Back to the Future. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of makes me a little excited. And plus, I think they got better ring girls. So it's a little, I'm a clown puncher.
I get it.
But I'm going to go with UFC.
So we've got the UFC from the clown, and we've got the Bellator from the champion. Interesting. Very interesting. So let's see. Carry the 1, drop the 2. Okay, so after carefully considering both points here, we are going to give the point for round 3 to our casual clown. 2-1 lead for the clown because fuck AJ McKee. I refuse to give that cocksucker any fucking good praise on my show ever. Fuck him till he dies and his racist daddy. They can both fuck off. They can get it anytime they want it. So, for round 4, we're going to keep it in a similar vein here, but not quite the same. Which organization puts on the best commercials? The UFC or Bellator? Mr. Clown Puncher, we'll give you this one first.
You said the best commercials?
Yes, sir. Best commercials.
Oh. I'm gonna go with Bellator, just because all the UFC commercials are normally about Nick Diaz and Kimbo Slice and Abu Dhabi. And at least Bellator has, normal commercials. So that's about it. That's who I got.
I can understand that. Okay, so Mr. Returning Champion, same question to you. Which organization do you feel has the better commercials? UFC or Bellator?
All right, before I take my time, I just need to make a clarification here because I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean self-promotion commercials or do you mean commercials throughout their cards?
All encompassing.
Okay, all right. In that case, I already know which route I'm going then. I'm going completely against Bellator on this. I'm going the UFC. Why? Because you get commercials like the Toyo Tire commercials where you get late greats like Forrest Griffin in there, things like that. Look, who doesn't love watching Forrest after that commercial go, still got it, yeah, and fucking water coming out of the coffee cup and everything. Look, that's UFC hands down. Not to mention there's fucking ones where they're going over the bush and he's taking the fucking spot while those two cocksuckers are bickering about it. Just saying, UFC all day. Those things make me laugh every fucking time, and who doesn't love Forrest Griffin?
Very, very valid point. Very valid point. One. Okay. After calculating and carefully tabulating the points here, for round 4, the point will go to our returning champion, TJ. As much as I love the originality of the Bellator commercials, and I do absolutely get tired of seeing the same fucking Nick Diaz and Kimbo Slice commercials and the same fucking I'm the official protein snack P3 commercials, you do got to say, still got it. Always makes me fucking laugh every goddamn time I see Forrest Griffin on a Toyota Tire commercial. It warms the conkles of my dark little fucking heart to see him do that. It really does. So I got to give him that one. So I will have to go for a 5th question here because we are all tied up 2-2. So the most important, the most valuable, the 5th and final question of the pit here for both of you gentlemen. Who's the most handsome MMA journalist host in the business? Champion, with your prerogative, I will give you the option to either go first or pass the question to the clown.
I'm gonna let the clown go first. I just want to hear what's gonna come out of its mouth.
All right, Mr. Clown Puncher, 1 minute on the clock. The time is yours, sir.
The most handsome announcer, right?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh. I'm gonna go with the normal answer. I'm gonna go with Joe Rogan. He's cut. He kicks ass. The faces that he makes just excite me in a happy place that should only happen to clowns. So and he's got hair, you know. I got this. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan for the Clown Puncher then. All right. Mr. Champion, final question. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, I guess you can consider Joe Rogan a journalist, not necessarily an MMA journalist, but I wouldn't call him a journalist, period. But you know, hey, we're kicking tires over here. If you're gonna go journalist route, you have to go with, by far, probably in my humble opinion, the best well-known journalist of all, Ariel Helwani, when it comes to MMA. He's got that little flair to him. Look, if you haven't seen the videos, go out and watch him when he was sitting there doing his little fucking boxing shit with the fucking tennis ball. Look, there was a mess of him doing that shit, and he was calling everybody out and looking pretty doing it. Got to go with Ariel Helwani. Not to mention, he does have some of the best coverage you're going to see as far as journalism is concerned.
Interesting. Interesting indeed. Both very valid points here. Both very valid points indeed. Okay, so let's see. Scratch the 3, that cancels that out. 2, that scratches that. So carry the 1, divide by 2. Push the cat out of the way. Kick the dog. Fuck you. AJ's on some bullshit. Scratch that one. Okay, so after thorough consideration and much in-depth calculation, we've come to a decision here. the winner of our third edition of the bid. Winner of the evening. The Casual Clown, by the narrowest of margins. I got to say, Ariel Helwani is one of the first names that I thought of as well, but if not for Joe Rogan, we literally wouldn't have this show to compete on. And I think that little fact just helped push ever so slightly over the edge and caused the upset. So we officially have a new winner, ladies and gentlemen. The man with all the heart has given it.
I like to thank everybody for this honor. Oh, I want you guys to meet somebody. It's BCP, but he's in training though. It's Baby Clown Puncher. He don't talk much though.
A baby clown puncher.
Regardless of the outcome of any of the fights this weekend, unless MMA fighters realistically unionize, they'll never be able to make the money they deserve or have true cross-promotional competition. I mean,
It's like fucking
What
Dink
an
and Doink over there.
What an enlightened young protege, I have to say. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the pit. That's all we've got for this particular episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. I would like to officially thank our previous champion, Mr. Galti Vapes here, and our new current champion, the one and only late night casual clown himself. That is all we've got for this particular episode, ladies and gentlemen. So if you enjoy what we do around here, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss an episode. If you are hearing us, you can also catch us doing this live on YouTube every Thursday night. There is stuff to talk about, 9:30 p.m. Central Time-ish on the YouTube channel, I'm No Joe. If you are watching us live, we appreciate you just the same. And you can also use this as your background noise of choice in the all audio format, anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. Get you through your podcast consumption platform of choice. If you love what we do around here, patreon.com/I'm No Joe to give a little bit, help out. Gives you access to behind the scenes shit, unseen and unairable footage that we've got back there. But that's all we've got for this particular episode, folks. So we're going to go ahead and call that all for this particular evening. Remember, folks, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless it's a Slipknot reunion.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.